What's going on, everybody? Thank you all. I'm going to have a short discussion about some interesting details that I want to share with you concerning the event in Maui, Hawaii. Everybody's aware of these fires that have ravaged this area. I'll put that in quotations. So I just want to share some info to give a bit of context to what we really know is the true agenda behind these cascade of crises that have very convenient narratives to go through, and we can reverse engineer what's really going on, and we can see how all of this is being pushed to promote this global agenda. So here we are right now. This is from 2023 um, Hawaii Digital Government Summit, and this is for something that is going to occur on September 25th, 2023. So let me give you a brief overview. During this summit, it says the Digital uh, Government Summit brings together technology focused public sector professionals with leading industry partners to connect on innovative approaches, get inspired, and discover new technologies, right? So, to get to the long and short, there has been a concerted effort to make Maui, which is this area in Hawaii, the first smart island. I think that's the timing of this is very coincidental and very it produces a lot of interesting speculation with the timing because we know about the Hegelian dialectic, right? Socially engineered problem, wait for the fear-based irrational reaction, and then conveniently offer a centralized government solution that involves removing personal sovereignty and adopting an infrastructure of smart technology, you know, via Smith 15-minute smart cities, etc. Right? And I think that this is very interesting, right? Because the timing, you destroy something, you offer a narrative to why it was destroyed, you wait for the chaos, and then you attempt to make some kind of order out of chaos. That seems to be that seems to be the direction all this stuff is going. So conveniently, they have a summit coming up in September of this year. Everything is digitized. You know, the electrification, digitization of our world, through this new digital paradigm where everybody can be controlled through technology, right? Very interesting. Now, listen to this. What did I do here? Okay. Now, I find this very interesting. Let's read this. This is the smart grid. Now, this is what this is all about. They want to get you on the smart grid, right? Smart technology. We understand exactly the trajectory of the world right now. They want to create this systematic problem that can only be solved through smart grid technology. And this is all under the guise of climate change and trying to mitigate and prevent future crises from their perspective and their narrative. So, of course, they say the state of Hawaii's goal is to obtain 40% of its electric power generation from renewable energy sources by 2030. There's that date. Everybody know what's happening in 2030. United Nations Sustainable Development Agenda, right? Where the people basically own nothing. Everything has been centralized under a system controlled through a world government, controlling resources and services and allocating these things based on compliance, qualification, and authorization, all through a centralized government. This is what this is all about. Now I'm gonna get to the incident in a moment, but I just want to give you a brief overview. It says, and this is something in Japan, Hitachi recently announced that it has begun operations on the demonstration site for the Japan-US Island Grid project, commonly referred to as Jump Smart Maui, on the island of Maui. What a coincidence, right? On the island that had the issue in that specific location that's along the coast. It says in collaboration with the New Energy and Industrial Technology Developmental Organization, uh, Mizuho Bank Limited, and Cyber Defense Institute Incorporated, an opening ceremony was held on Maui to coincide with the launch of site operations. So this is their agenda right here. You know, people used to inhabit certain areas, and when people have viable communities in certain areas, they tend to have a sense of self-sustainability and self-reliance. Working with the environment, developing community and para economies where people don't have to depend on a centralized government or some system through surveillance, tracking, and tracing through smart technology. You know, but they have to dismantle the self-sustainability, um, and this self-sustainable environment first, and conveniently, a crisis under the guise of some kind of emergency is how you would do that. And we all understand about the DEW, those lasers that you know everybody's aware of that seems to have create flash and immediate destruction in a very targeted, localized area. We're gonna get to that. Stay tuned. So, of course, it's all about renewable energy, a low carbon social infrastructure, the social credit, your carbon footprint, ESGs, regulating you through this rubric of carbon emissions and all of this stuff that we know is a bunch of, mess, to put it lightly. So let's continue. I'm trying to make this short. So they want to digitize work, on this. These are good test subjects, good testing simulations of what they want to do for everywhere, right? Why not use an island? It's a very localized area separated from the mainland where you can run the simulation to see how things will go and to set a precedence for everywhere else, right? Because they want to target anywhere where people will go. No, we can look at tropical islands as the last paradise, right? You have a body of land surrounded by water, so usually it's very rich in um, good soils to grow food. Most islands have fruit trees where you can go eat coconuts, pineapples, and bananas straight off the tree, so you can feed yourself without going to a grocery store. The soil is rich because the ocean replenishes the soil of an island. Fast, fast and volcanic soil seems to be the most nutrient-rich soil. So they basically want to create concrete jungles in locations where people can live off the environment and the land. Now, let me give you this quick context before we continue to read, right? Notice that along the east and west coast, major cities always in strategic areas near the coast where farmland could be very beneficial. And they strategically made sure they put these large cities of concrete right along the coast because they can't have people creating communities where they have fisheries and access to the ocean and good healthy soil, and they wouldn't be dependent on the government. So let's create this concrete asphalt jungle right along the coast and push everybody away from the coast. And what they did was raise up the price to live away from the coast, right? Until they innovated and modernized the coast. And then what they did was they dropped the price of the suburbs and raised the price along the coastal cities. They brought many businesses and everything else back to the cities so that people would want to move there for jobs and have opportunity. And that way they can get them out the suburbs, get them away from growing food and everything that you would need to do away from a city and bring you back in the city for opportunity and job market and sabotage all economic opportunities outside of these cities, right? That's what's happening. They pushed you away from the city until they can revitalize and rebuild it into this modern industrial revolution type situation, and then they sabotage your ability to live away from the city, and then made it very opportunistic to come back to the city after they've created this concrete jungle where their technology and their systems have been established, and you have to go through a series of qualifications and systems to participate in the economy. It's all about removing the self-sustainability, your ability to feed yourself off of your own land, grow your own food, and live off the grid. This is what this is all about, right? So, of course, they have conveniently all these things that have been long planned. This is conveniently a lot of this stuff is between 2017 and 2023. So, let's go to Forbes magazine here. What do we have? Governments look to smart islands for high tech and low carbon solutions. So, this was all the way in 2019, right before what happened, right? So, of course, this whole smart island it's not a new concept. This has been long in the making about turning these islands because a lot of people think they can go to an island and escape what's happening on the mainland. No, this centralized global government has placed their leaders in these islands. If you notice, a lot of islands have been compromised through politics of implanted leaders who are promoting these global agendas. And they're using these islands as the first test subjects to set a precedence, right? It's less people to control, so you can establish this here. You can test out things before you apply to the general larger areas of land. So I just want to create a context that this was the plan, right? So everything that's happening right now is not a coincidence at all. Now listen, I found this very interesting as well. Let me get this out the way. I found this very interesting. Let's go to the Insider. It says, despite tsunami warning systems in place for emergencies, Maui residents says there was no warning before these fires ravaged the island. I found that amazing, right? I also looked for personal testimony of people who lived there, right? They said that there was no emergency vehicle help dur- during the situation. That means not one fire truck or ambulance was seen helping people. They literally this happened so fast, just like the DEW would happen in a very quick moment. And then after it happened, there was no emergency help offered. It's kind of like they destroyed everything and they wanted it to run its course, right? Very convenient. And it's really sad for people who actually just live here. And of course, we pray and our hearts go out to people who are displaced, and this is the world we live in. We have to have a honest understanding of the nature of this world. This is why those who are in the biblical worldview, who live for the biblical Jesus Christ, we don't live for the world. We understand that our flesh and this world is corrupt, it's evil, and it's against the one who we were made for, our creator, right? So we acknowledge this issue of sin that we have, and we sought the reconciliation to our creator, to be born again, to receive his spirit, so that we could live for him against this world and against our flesh. Therefore, we have good discernment and wisdom to understand what's going on and to walk by faith and not have to conform or be complicit in all the evil that's happening in this world. Because a lot of people, they're shocked. The body of Christ is not shocked about anything that's happening. It was prophesied in the Bible a long time ago. And we understand this is all an agenda of the Antichrist to centralize and control this world, to make people who are spiritually dead compromise the only thing that matters, their soul, to have ability to move, buy or sell, however you want to say it, in this world. This is all about setting up this system. So let's see. Let me see the date on this. Okay, this is August 13th, 2023. So yes, 2 days ago, a day and a half ago, and it says the Hawaii islands of Maui has tsunami alert systems to warn residents of emergencies. Locals said no alerts were issued while these things were happening. So I find that interesting that they didn't want to, even after things happen, sound these alarms, which we know you can set an alarm with the technology we have available today at the push of a button. You could do it remotely, even away from the danger zone. So it's no reason why people couldn't be alerted during this disaster. There's no reason, you know. And I'll post these links in the description box so that if people wanted to see it, they can do it. Now listen to this. Jump Smart Maui announces successful completion of project, right? This was 2017. So, like I said, this is old news, just like a lot of stuff, just like certain things, simulations that happened prior to these events happening that were simulated and pre-planned. This is just another example of how all of this was orchestrated and pre-planned a long time ago in terms of these smart cities, smart technology. All they had to do was have a scorched earth policy, right? This was a land grab. If you wanted to grab land, you have to orchestrate some kind of situation where people are forced off the land and then you can rebuild it and then you can allow people to requalify through a new system to live in this area. Essentially, that's what's happening. So I just want to share this. I think this is very interesting. It gives context to the true agenda and nature of the world we live in. So what is this? This is again, this is that Jumps Smart Maui demonstration project. I'm not going to read too much. Now look at this, right? This is very interesting. This is ABC News, right? It says residents worry. Let me get this off of the screen for you. These things keep popping up. It says residents worry a rebuilt Maui town could slip into the hands of affluent outsiders, right? And this is current. This is what's happening right now. This is August 13, 2023. It says the cost to live in this area on the Hawaiian islands of Maui keeps rising thanks to a chronic housing shortage and an influx of second home buyers and wealthy transplants snatching up properties. Very convenient, right? What better way to create a housing shortage than to destroy a whole bunch of houses and then kind of raise up the taxes and have inflation, the cost of living, and have a lot of outside people buying up the property after it's been destroyed, and people need to live. A lot of people don't have money to house themselves somewhere else and buy property and rebuild property in another location. That's a lot of money, a lot of resources that many people, many average people, the average citizen doesn't have, right? So they're going to bring in new investors to invest in these things. And of course, these people were very calculating and waiting for the right opportunity to come in and get the land. You know, I think that was very interesting. And there's a lot of stuff that happens. Like, for example, we all know that wildfires don't melt metal of cars. Very interesting things were happening. Like the cars were melted with a temperature that has to be higher than any wildfire. There's a lot of incidences where things have happened from people who were there doing this event that don't comport with what is usually expected in a wildfire. I'm just giving people things to think about based on the evidence and firsthand accounts of people who actually lived through this experience, this horrible experience. Okay, it's very horrible. So I just want to show you some very interesting things, right? Now look at this. This is the Maui News, August 13th, right? 2023. Groundbreaking held for 200-unit housing project. So they're already thinking about breaking ground somewhere. But here's the question: if it's so dangerous, they have this groundbreaking project. Could it be that these people are just waiting for the right time? I guarantee you, now that these convenient, terrible crises have happened, once people start coming in and investors start buying up the land, notice that these crises are going to stop in that area and they're going to move somewhere else. I found that very interesting. If this is a climate emergency, you would expect that, okay, once it has displaced the everyday person from this area, it should continue to be an issue, even if the affluent people move in. But if once the average citizens have to move out and these investors come in, that you see no longer this drought is a problem for these people, all of a sudden they stop having problems in this area. I'm gonna find that very ironic that somehow this climate emergency only affected the average American, but when these investors, these wealthy investors come in, all of a sudden they don't have any issues. All of a sudden the weather is beautiful, they get to rebuild and bring in their smart cities technology, and all of a sudden they're going to have a convenient solution to mitigate this crisis. Very interesting and ironic if that happens. Just putting some ideas out there. So I just wanted to share this with everybody. I think I had to speak on it. I'm not going to really say what I want to say in this video. I wanted to keep it short, but I definitely wanted to share this with you. So thank you for listening. I hope this was a very insightful video. Like I said, I'll put the links in the description box, and thank you for listening. All right, I'm out of here. Peace and blessings.